Hello and welcome to PM Express. My name is Nana Ansakwa IV. These offices are beginning to look familiar. I guess we can theme it getting to know your parliamentarian. We have spoken to a few and indeed they have come up with exciting stories. We just see them in parliament and we know them in politics, but how it is they got there, we don't normally get the story. And my guest today has got a divine story, as how fate would have it, as a determined mother will push at all odds to make sure that her children will go to school. This is a story that you need to get your children around the screen because they will not leave the same as they began it. It's a wonderful story. My guest is Mohammed Mubarak, Muntaka, Honorable Member of Parliament for Asawase. What a story. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and this is always the exciting part, as I say. I'm very privileged because once you have these cameras, you have the audacity, to go into people's office and ask them things that ordinarily you wouldn't have been able to ask. But you know what? I don't take it for, I don't take it for granted at all, to get somebody's time and get the privilege to go and get an in-depth conversation. So before I even start, I want to say thank you so much, because I know you're busy, and we hustled to get this interview for you, so I appreciate it. Alaji, thank you so much. Alaji, I want to go all the way back to 71, and I'm going to go to Abu Abu. And I always start by asking my guests, if there was a, golden spoon or silver spoon beginnings. But you look Dadabaish, so I guess you had a good Dadabaish beginnings.
Well, a lot of people, when they see you, let me say good evening to your listeners. I mean, a lot of people see you, they think, oh, these are people that do not even know the cost of bread. There was a time the Prime Minister of Britain, David Cameron, was asked how much cost of bread is, and he didn't know. So people see you, they think you are the type who do not even know how much a cost of bread is, and you are here, so sometimes you don't truly represent them, but not people like us. I mean, someone will tell you that some of us, even the circumstances of our birth, has been mystery to date. I mean, my mother was married to my father. I'm told for 7 years she was not giving birth.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, this woman is barren because she was a third wife. So the first one had 9 children, the second one has 4. So if my mother was not giving birth, then she's the problem. Apparently, there was all kind of belief that somebody has vowed that she will not give birth. And after the 7th year, even when her father himself was giving up, my father was giving up, the whole family was giving up, then I dropped as the first child. And my mother would say,
Miracle baby.
I came with all manner of challenges. I mean, I had sight problem. I couldn't talk. Even at 4, I could not speak. The one after me came and started even speaking when I couldn't speak. And it looked like somebody who has a hunchback problem. So she spent a lot of time trying to get me to be a normal child. And that sometimes she would just put me and look and just be weeping. How come this nice boy of mine cannot talk? When children are playing, he's reserved and what have you.
Wow.
And as destiny may have it, my father had always yearned to have boys. And my father's first wife had 9 children with only 1 boy. The second one, 4 with 1 boy. Then I came, boy. The one after me, boy. The one after that, boy. The one after that, 1 boy. Straight, my mother had 5 boys. Then, in our community, they like these soothsaying things. Then a soothsayer tells her that, hey, if you don't get a... Then she gave birth to a girl. Then it's like, hey, if you don't get a boy to seal it, then these your boys, it may be difficult for them to survive. So she went on the marathon looking for a boy. Then the one after that, a girl, and a girl, and a girl, and a girl. She went girls 5. So now we are 10.
Eish.
5 boys, 5 girls.
And she
still hasn't gotten the boy. As destiny may have it, then she then had the boy.
Wow.
As the 11th child. Then accidentally she had another girl. So it became 6 boys, 6 girls. So,
12.
and believe me, Ababu, where I was born, I mean, it's a predominantly poor community. You don't need to be told. Someone will say that when you run through the community, I mean, the kind of houses that we have and what have you, it's enough to tell you the level of poverty there. And that's how we grew up, in a house that has 10 rooms. And my father, as we were growing, even though some become senior and they move out, but the house that has 41 of us.
41 kids?
Yes, and putting you in a group of rooms, and it's not easy. This office is about, if I'm not as a dish, about 4 times the size of my mother's room. And I was with my mother in the same room until she gave birth to her 8th born. And we were all squeezed in this room. My younger sister, who is working at the Ghana airport, Savannah, was the 8th one. And we were all in the same room. And because of my height, I was so tall that there's no enough space for me to be able to stretch my leg. And the only place I could sleep to feel comfortable is under the bed, because that's the only place I can stretch my leg. So that was my sleeping place until some others moved to Nigeria, and then a room became vacant, and then about 5 of us were moved in. And this was about secondary school Form 2. So, I mean, food was a luxury.
So, I mean, so dinner time, 41 or maybe let's say even 30, if someone moved, how's dinner time like?
No, my father had some great wisdom. I don't know how they did it, and today whether we can try to even have it. You never ate from the same mother together. Mm-hmm. So you've been clustered into groups. So my group were 5. I had myself and the one after me in that same group, but other siblings also there. So, and one wife will cook for all of us. So all of us will eat from one woman's pot. Then all our mothers must also eat together. And the house, there's a big compound in front of, in the middle. So our father sits on a veranda about 5 steps up, and he watches over the wives and all of us. So he's the only one who eats alone, and sometimes he eats with the last child at that time. Mm-hmm. And then all the others, we are there, and then he's watching. And on your food, there will be no meat, because all the meat will be put in a soup. So when you are eating, he's watching. And then when you finish, he takes his roll call. And it was later in life that I realized the wisdom in what he was doing. Because even when my father was over 80, he could tell from his first child to the last child in terms of age. Apparently, when we finish eating and we are now waiting for him to give us the meat, he will call in order seniority. So at the point in time, I was the senior most, because all my senior ones, especially women, had gotten married and were out, and the 2 other males were also out. So he'll call Mubarak, then I'll go and take. Then he'll call Audu. So he calls that every day. It's like automatically to remind himself who is older, who is following. And we, the children, to also know who you are after. Because the one after me is not the one from my mother's child. Mm-hmm. Audu is from a different woman. Okay. Then the one after me comes. Then it goes to Basiru, another woman. Then it comes to Marlon. He calls the children in line according to age. Mm-hmm. And you see, there was a day I told her, I said, but Baba, why is it that you don't allow us to eat in our comfort zone so that we eat like me and my brothers from the same mother, we can be eating together, and then the others too, because sometimes there's always kind of fight. He laughed. He said, you are being foolish. I don't want any woman to kill any of my child. I mean, he just said it. Because if you are eating alone and someone decides to poison, he will poison the whole of you. But if you are mixed up, her child is also there. Yes. If she wants to poison, she should poison including her own. I mean, he just said it. Maybe because I was maybe young, he was just saying literally to let me understand the wisdom. But apparently, when we grew up, I realized that bonded us. No, it really. I mean, today if you ask me, if you get the opportunity, will you want to have 41 children, knowing the benefit that it enlows to us today? Well, I'll tell you yes. As whether I'll be able to have, I doubt, because by the time my father was my age, he already has crossed 28 children.
That's
I'm
right.
still at 6, so I can't match that. But today in the family, when there's a problem, we are in heads. So I head my side.
Mm-hmm.
So if the problem is coming from another gate, the senior one there will just call me. Oh, there's this problem, and the problem is 100,000 problem, and we need to fix it maybe by the end of this month. So I communicate to my side. Oh, there's a problem. They say it's 100,000, but from the look of things, maybe we'll have to do 40. So maybe I'm starting with myself. I'm giving 10. What do you say? Then the one after, so I have these challenges, but I'll give 2. This one, so okay, I'll give 15. So before you realize, we will organize ours, and others will. So the day it is called, the problem is solved. And I mean, those of us who are watching, and sometimes we all demonize polygamy and what have you. It is not for nothing that Africa is polygamous. And I always say there's no culture in Africa, from North Africa to South Africa to East to West, where one culture that is not polygamous. It's not. But whether people abuse it, yes, that's a fact, because everything people abuse. Even marrying just one woman, people abuse. Having one child, people abuse those children. So if it is to be done properly, like our parents tried to do, I wouldn't say that they did excellent, but one thing that they did that is very helpful to our community is bringing us together. Because many people don't even know the difference between many of us. This one belongs to this one. No, because we see each other as people coming from the same chain.
So let me go back. I mean, 41, that's a whole lot of children. I mean, you can set up your own school.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't even need to take them to the school. You build your own and get a license. So how did you go to school, and when did you go to school?
Well, the sad thing about schooling was that out of that 42, I was the first to go to school, unfortunately. Because
so out of your father's kids, you're number?
I'm number 14.
Okay.
So the 13 others, unfortunately, did not get the opportunity to school.
The 13 in front of you?
The 13 in front of me. I got to get education. I always say it's just a divine. It was just God who made it. Because I almost missed it too. Wow. Because I went when I was 10, I mean, almost 11.
Wow. Before you started?
Before I started. And my mother had been very determined to get her children educated. And sometimes when this issue comes and we are talking about people who have not lived it, do not see why sometimes it looks like you are emotional. My father didn't want any of us to go to school because he was afraid that during that time, our community was like people who go to school become Christians because of the compulsory church attendance and what have you. So the thing was that, well, for me to send my children to become Christian, then they better don't go. So because of that reason, my father was very careful, and unfortunately, my 13 siblings didn't go. My mother was very determined because she thought that she was not educated. She had 21 siblings herself, and only one, her senior sister, who went to school. And that time, she just finished middle school and went to Baga teacher training and became a trained teacher, became a Christian. And the 21, apart from her, nobody else. My father had 17 siblings. Nobody had been to school. But I don't know, maybe my mother would be the best person to be telling what is really motivated to fight, because she said that she started fighting when I was about 8, that we must go to school, and my father would not budge. So at a point in time, they had to get separated because of that. So my mother was ready.
That's how determined she was.
Yes, and she told us that they were separated for almost a year. Then my father saw a reason that, okay, you come back and I'll let them go to school. But if we are going, then the ban is lifted on everybody. I mean, that was how equitable my father was. And I must respect that. So because my mother insisted we had to go, then the others will have to go. So for me, the day I was going to primary 1, I went with 4 other siblings. The one after me, the one after that, and then 2 others from other parents, because they were also of the age. So we went to class 1 the same day. And looking at me, the height, I was very tall and old. So you can't enter a class and not notice me. I was the oldest in my class until I got to university where they were mature students. All classes that I've sat in my life, in primary, in secondary, I've always been the oldest child in that class until I got to university where I had mature students. So, but I didn't sit in class 2, I didn't also sit in class 5.
Okay.
But after writing the middle school living certificates and we were preparing to write the common entrance, then there was this about, educational system likely to be changed, and they have started the 1987 discussion about they have started the discussion towards the 1987 educational system change.
Bringing the JSS in.
So my mother, even though she was a cocoa seller, apparently got a teacher to assist my 2 other siblings so that they can write the common entrance. So we wrote the common entrance together. Unfortunately, they also passed. So we went to Tamale Secondary School the same year, 3 of us from the same mother arriving. And there's an aspect story of it. When we passed, then the family met, because apparently our father was not working that time. And the family met, and because we had senior siblings who had to support, and the unanimous decision was that the family cannot support 3 children from the same mother to go to secondary school at the same time. So our mother should choose one. Then my father even said, this is logic. You have children who have passed and those who have not passed. And you are saying that we should allow those who did not pass an opportunity to write again to see if they will pass before they are assisted. When those who have passed are there and you are not willing to assist. And unfortunately that day my mother was so annoyed, and she came out and said, well, if the family is not willing to assist, leave them. The God that gave me the children will see them through. So, and surprisingly, today I say it lightly because by that time it was with a lot of pain, because we thought that, especially when you are very poor, if you see somebody even wear a nice shirt, you think that he's rich and he could help you. And we thought that that was very unfortunate. And we really picked issues with those that, because we were young and we didn't really understand some of these things, that our mother said that, and lo and behold, I said, okay, then keep the children. And they walk away. And our mother had to struggle to do everything. And you know, women, when she wanted to say that she can do it, she resorted into selling all manner of things just to get her to go to secondary school. We arrived in secondary school and all her capital, the porridge business was collapsing. Wow. Because now she has to be borrowing millets and sugar. And interestingly, my first national service allowance after A-level, our time after A-level, you have to do national service. After the A-level, my first allowance, I had to use that to pay some of the debt that she has incurred, that she couldn't pay, that was virtually making the cocoa business collapsing. So
basically she sold
cocoa. Yeah, she soldiered. She's really soldiered, and we were in Temasco. By Form 3, she couldn't. Because by Form 3, we were 9. By the time we got to Form 3 secondary school, her children were 9. And 3 of us were in secondary school. So the other 6 was so much pressure on her. It was really so much. So that time, I remember one vacation when we came, I told her, do you know what? Look, we have other siblings that have run to Nigeria, and they seem to be doing well. Let me also go. She rained all manner of curses. If I step my foot out of school, that curse will come after me. And you know, in our community, we don't really joke with the words of our parents. So I could see that this one is struggling. So what we had to do now with her is that when we come on vacation, we will have to hawk in Kumasi, and I was showing some of the marks. If I remove my shoe, where a vehicle runs over your foot and all that, because you have to sell graphic, you have to sell polythene bags and that to support her. Even though we're under scholarship, but to be able to do all this to support, and we also had miscellaneous fees to pay. And there are instances that on the day that we arrived at Tamale Secondary School, from Tamale to the campus, our last amount of money on us is what we'll pay the taxi to leave. So you can't miss breakfast, dining, you can't miss lunch, you dare not miss. Even if free exams, you don't go anywhere, because if you go, it was a hell. And most of our friends, I'm sure those who are listening will remember very well that sometimes I had a close friend, Oli, who is in Accra here, his senior brother was the one taking care of him. He was doing very well. And when they come to school with like tin of milk and needle and gari and shuto, it was like, these people are coming from heaven, eh?
let me take a break here. These are some of the stories that you never get to hear, but we are coming back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and that's what an illiterate, dynamic mother selling cocoa would do to educate your children. This is why I say you should always sit by the screen. These days, there's too many reasons and excuses why I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. There's always a can somewhere in there. But I don't know your mom, but I'm in love with her already. I'm in love with her already. Now, that's what I call a dynamic woman.
Yeah, sure.
But, you see, at that young age, did you appreciate her struggles? Because sometimes, when you're young, you think, oh, look, it's one of those things.
There's a story I don't like repeating to myself because it always tries to bring tears to my eyes. There was a day, after a very long day hawk, then we came back to the house. My mother taught us one thing, savings, which I'm happy to say that I'm teaching my children heavily. My mother taught us savings. We came and she said that, look, school is just 2-3 days away. Your miscellaneous fees is not up. Your TNT for the STC is not up. If we don't squeeze and make a little more sacrifice, by the day it comes, we'll not be able to go through. So today, we may have to take Gary. She went and bought this Gary. She soaked it. That time, like I said, we were about 9. She would just squeeze it and give it to you, and that's your supper. Apparently, along the line, when my mother's children were becoming many and the other women do not have that large number of children, and my father too, unfortunately, business had gone so bad, so he was no longer working. Then the other women started agitating that, look, can we separate the cooking? Let everybody cook and feed his children. And this was the biggest blow to my mother, because my mother knew that after 2 days, she has a respite for another 6 days. Now, it has to be daily. So one of these days, there was nothing apart from Gary, and when she was squeezing, giving, squeezing and giving, squeezing and giving, squeezing and giving. And then when it got to the one after me, it was not even enough to get really squeezed. And that was all of it. And I was just sitting there and looking at my mother, and tears started running down my cheeks. Because I didn't eat in the afternoon. And now supper, you just share, and I didn't get. But I forgot that she also didn't get. So she and I didn't get. And I was weeping, and I thought that she was wicked. She was being wicked. I mean, this school is beyond us. Let's stop. Why? I mean, we have some little money. We can't even feed. We can go and buy some kenke. You see, this school is becoming impractical for us to go to this school. Let us stop. So it is true. There were times that we thought, especially me, thought that, look, this school, I don't think we are destined to go to school. Because if we were destined to go to school, help will have come for us to have it. But this struggle is just too much. Let's put this schooling aside so that, let me start. Even if it's shoe shine, I will support the rest. But they said, no, all of you will go. Wow. So it is true. There are times that you strongly disagree with her, but I can't imagine if she had allowed it, and probably I dropped in school, maybe secondary school, Form 3 or Form 4. Today I would have cursed myself and probably cursed her for encouraging me to stop. But that time, she was very, and she would rain, look, if you go, may Allah do this to you. If you decide to run away on your own and go and with me, no, may you not even reach Nigeria, the car will fall with you and you die. Wow. I mean, she would just scare you to the point that you just have to stay in school and to finish. And as God may have it, I was not an excellent student, let me admit, in class. All my classmates who admit to that. I was not an excellent student, but I was an average student. Maybe because of the challenges, I mean, you can't have textbooks. What you do is that your friends who have textbooks, you have to have some gentleman agreement that, oh, when will you read your maths? So as the person is taking his maths textbook, then you can be reading his English, something like that. So I was an average student, but what I I've been very grateful to Allah is that I never wrote any paper twice.
Wow.
Till I completed O level, I went to do my A level. And when we completed A level, and I had qualified to go to university straight, my two other younger brothers unfortunately couldn't. And they wanted to do the shortcuts. And, you know, I always say that when Allah wishes you well, He gets people around you who will guide you. Our mother was not educated, but I don't know, for funny reason, when my younger brother wanted to go to poly and others, they said, no. Why are you in a hurry? This thing, it's not that you've tried several times and you can't. Just give it another try.
Wow.
And then the one after me, after that, he got to do planning. Then the one after him couldn't get. I remember he was on a waiting list on computer science and they finished the admission, he didn't get. And my mother said, you know what, just write again. What is it? Just write again. And he wrote again, went to KNUST to do. That's how destiny separated us. So whilst I was in the second year, then the one after me came to first year. Whilst I was in the third year, then the one after him also came to first year.
So we went together.
We went together, but we got separated. Yeah, we came together at secondary school and got separated as we entered the university, KNUST. Apparently, we all went to KNUST. I'm happy to say that Summit KNUST, the business school, I think he's in charge of examination or something, or is it their distant? He's a well-known person, the lecturer. He's a third born, my mother's third born. Muniru is with National Health Insurance.
Wow.
He's a second born, and I'm here. And thank God that even at the university, all of us were doing extra things, because I was teaching like children in the house. So I had a lot of prominent people. I mean, the like of Lawyer Obi Menu, I taught the student, Irene and Co. I'm sure they are watching, they will remember them for a little fee, even though as a student, and I started the Mubzi, a small business at KNUST, photocopying and other things. So while schooling, we were doing extra things, because by the time we completed A level, it was apparently that if we leave the other siblings with our mother, they may not get our privilege, because she was getting exhausted and she was overworking herself. So as young as even just entering university, we had to take the responsibility of supporting our younger siblings. So you have to pay their fees, you have to give them job money. So, and you can't do that with the student allowance alone. So that would mean you have to start working. So all the two of us were teaching and doing other things, little business there, have a TT board, people are playing and paying money, have bicycle, people are riding and paying money, all those things, so that you'll be able to take care of the other siblings. And let me say, I'm happy to say today, even within us, we have, the girls did extremely very well. And today we have one of us, Samira, she's at the medical school in the final year. So hopefully maybe July, if she passes her exams, which we pray she does.
And is mommy alive?
Yeah, mommy is alive. It says that the old man died 20 years ago.
Okay.
But mommy is alive, and she's staying with me in my house in Kumasi, even though it's a battle, because everybody wanted her to stay in his own house. I mean, I remember my younger brother, the one after me wanted, the one after him also wanted the lecture. My house was at the outskirts of Kumasi, so I had to quickly do a trick to build one within
they are listening
so that I can have her, because I can't afford to go to Kumasi and have to travel somewhere to see her. So she's with us, and we are happy she's with us. It's just that they've turned her into a nanny, and everybody is going to work. They come and drop their kids and go, and then when they finish, they come and pick them. So. But she's doing well, and we continue to pray for Allah's mercy on her, so that she grows older to see how wonderful her children, the sweat that she has put in.
But is she proud of you guys?
She is. She is. Our mother is really proud of us. She is.
I can imagine.
She is very, very proud of us, because sometimes she weeps and thinks that she wishes our father was alive to see what she was saying, how it has turned, because even our other siblings, how everybody is doing, not because necessarily the education, because you know what education does is that it helps break the poverty cycle. I mean, even if you are going to sell tomato and you are well educated, you can sell it in a way that somebody who is not educated may not be able to do, not because they are not doing well. I mean, you can get a market woman who is doing excellently. I can tell you that market woman who is doing excellently, if she was well educated, she would do wonderful. Yeah. So it is not just the education. I mean, and putting you in a way that you are God-fearing. is also a very key thing that our mother did.
So after university, what did you do then? Once when you were in university, what was the plan? Look, if I leave university.
I mean, between you and I never wanted to work in the public service. It has never crossed my mind to work in the public service. And in fact, my ultimate aim was to be an entrepreneur, just to be on my own. And I almost succeeded until I became a member of parliament. So came a member of the challenge. But when I finished school, first I worked with USAID, my national service. After that, with JICA, the Japanese. I have in economics, agri-economics, my first degree, and then planning, development policy and planning. So I worked with JICA, I worked with USAID, I worked with JICA. Then it was like, no. That business I started on KNUST, I mean, my first wife did tremendously well because by the time we got married, she was working with Somotes, and I had to convince her to stop that. Look, we can't work for people, let's work for ourselves. So she came with Team Up, we started expanding, we do typesetting, photocopying for students and other things. Then it grew up into, I mean, I remember we were the biggest internet cafe in Kumasi because in that time to have a Max, to have invested in about almost 60 computers where we were running the business and we were doing this together, and we were expanding very fast because we had 3 outlets in Kumasi and it was doing wonderfully well. Then I got an offer for Ejimapa Vice Limited. When they were doing everything manual, I went to introduce computer there. That time computer was like a monster. People don't want to even go near it. I introduced computer into our operations, and believe me, by the time in 2005, when I had to come and be a member of parliament, I'd grown through the ranks to be the head of research mountain evaluation for Ejimapa Bio Limited. And we were then the second largest cocoa buying firm after PBC. We were doing very well and the company was doing well. But even whilst I was there, I was developing my business because my eyes was targeting to be on my own. I never wanted to work with the public sector. I mean, but I've always been interested in politics. When they were forming 10, we were on campus in 1992 and what have you. And I've always been fan of politics and interest in the argument, the views, and the supporting. Mainline stream never crossed my mind. I mean, it was never in my dream to be where I am.
Before I forget, did you by this time you've been educated, so you sort of, not Abu Abu now you are,
wow.
Did you keep in touch with your people?
Really? I mean, it will interest you to know, in the family house, the old man, before his death, gave me a space and I built an apartment. So that's how I started my life. So after going all around, after university, I was still in the family house. And I started life in the family house. Okay. I gave birth to my first child, who is now at KNUSC second year. The second one, all in the family house.
Wow.
Then we built this house, my first wife and I, we built this first house, and through this business that house is growing. I was also at the Ejimapa Bias, built this house at the outskirts and moved in. Then went for Hajj. That's 2004. 2004, the Hajj was in December. So came back in January. Then the person that we all supported and spent all our energy and time for him to come to Parliament, Dr. Jibril, had been sworn in and be in Parliament. And after 39 days, to our utmost shock, that the man is dead.
Oh dear.
And there was going to be a by-election. We were mourning the dead. Then at the barrier, they say, Honorable Babin is looking for me. I said, where does he know me? They said, they say he's looking for me. So I was with a doctor friend. Then he said, why is he looking for you? I said, I don't know. Have you ever? I said, I've never met you apart from watching him on TV and hearing him from Parliament. So at the funeral ground, after the barrier, he told me, young man, can we find time to talk? I said, why not? So sit by me. I sat. So, our information is that you are the people that the people want. I said, me? People want for what? No, to stand in for us. I said, no, please, I can't. Let's look at somebody. I will support him like I supported Dr. Jibril. But me, no. I've just finished my master's. I've just returned from Hajj. The company that had really been so good to me, this is the time for me to pay back for all what they have invested in me. I don't think I'll be ready to go to Parliament. So he left it there. Then in the evening, to my utmost surprise, they came as a group again. oh no, why would you? No, please, you see, NDC had just lost the 2004 election. We needed to get somebody that we don't have to spend so much money during the by-election and what have you. And everywhere we go, everybody says, there's a gentleman who helped Dr. Jibril. Because apparently, you know, they use this everything manual, ECG, Electoral Commission. Then, because I was computer literate then, I just used simple Excel to capture our results. So at the collation center, I was using that to cross-check with that Electoral Commission. You know what Excel does? It does the summation for you easily. So whilst the EC person is using his calculator trying to do, and sometimes gets the calculation, I say, no, this is not the figure. Because the computer tells me the actual figure, and then the cross, oh, mine is correct. Then at that collation center, I became a hero. But apparently I was his campaign manager. So I became a hero. So I said, no, I will support. So no, it is you that we want. I said, oh, no, I won't. So when I came to visit my mother at the family house, I was there, and then the late regional imam came with other imams. They came to talk. So I said, oh, apparently, my mother came to be eavesdropping. When I was telling them that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, and she just, out of anger into the Gbani language, telling me that, who do you think you are? That all these prominent people are coming to beg you, and you still say you can't do it. Are you in your right senses? So
the boss has spoken.
I said, okay, they should give me time to think about it. Then Babi and Co came. I said, oh, can we have some gentleman agreement? They said, oh, okay, what is it? So you see, this thing, I'm not interested in it. I will go on condition that I will do 1 term. So that after 1 term, I can come and control. That time you get 4 years to look for the right candidate that you want so that I can be free. So, oh, agreed. I'm still serving the 1 term.
Any regrets though, considering how the passion you wanted to, drive your own business, entrepreneurship, now,
Parliament. Well, I can't have regrets. I can't have regrets. Apparently, why am I still in Parliament? When I came in, and I realized if you are sincere and really committed to your people, there's no any other way that you can help people than being a politician. If you are sincere and you really know what your people are and you are in to help them, if you are a rich man, you can't do it better than being a member of Parliament. Whatever you are, believe me, because when I came in, then I realized that, all these children that sometimes come to my office wanting support to pay their fees, I can create a scholarship from using the common fund to pay easily. That time I started with 45, it moved to 70, it moved to 90, moved to 100. Today, for the past almost 5-6 years, we've been having 250.
Wow.
Constant support. There's no way, being Bill Gates, probably, in Ghana, with our mentality, will I be able to do that? When I came, most of the schools in my constituency were wooden structure. After the educational reform program, I think 1992, thereabout, then the Islamic education units were introduced into the Zongo community as a way of motivating them to attend the school in their own environment. So they introduced the Islamic education unit. So they were started, the same Makaranta was now, teachers were brought in, and it's a wooden structure. Today I've turned all of them, virtually all of them, into block. I mean, ICT Center was a mystery. I built one in Asawase. There's a big library. The biggest community library in this country is in my constituency. It's when you are from Anaga Junction towards Airport Roundabout. It's there. It's a 1-story. It can sit 500. In fact, some regional libraries are not as big as that. Built some ICT centers, built a lot of other things. Our problems are not over, but anybody who knew Asawase in 2005, in Kumasi, everything we were last. School enrollment, infrastructure. When I came, they were where my house currently is. They didn't have lights. Kumasi, Asokwa didn't have even water. But I saw an opportunity that I can dedicate myself to. And over a decade now, if you go to Kumasi today, anybody who will be very objective will tell you, if you want to rank the constituencies, I don't think by the time you count 1, 2, 3, Asawase will be out of it. We
still
still have our challenges, but we have done so well because I realized that this was a golden opportunity to be able to help my people, and I did.
I'm going to take a break here because I was just going to ask, why do they keep voting you in? But it will be a silly question after this submission. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for staying, and I'm sure you are just excited as I am. 2005 till date, is there one memorable occasion in Parliament that one day if you retire, you'd always either talk about it and laugh or talk about it and cry? What memorable occasion?
I mean, not necessarily Parliament, but the whole period when I became Minister for Youth and Sports. And all these challenges came. Wow. I mean, I've had challenges in life. I mean, in primary school, I remember a friend told a lie on me that they've been stealing. And then a friend was encouraged to say that I was one. And they mentioned me. I was a section leader. I was dropped as a section leader. Then later, I mean, my father insisted that the boy was a Muslim, so we should swear by Quran. Then the boy admitted that it was a teacher who asked him to do that. I got over that. In secondary school, I remember the school cadet went and beat some Kumasi girls, and a teacher who later became a minister and a friend who was then doing service came to push us to go and beat the cadets. We went to disciplinary committee. I was suspended indefinitely. And later we got over it. I came and wrote my O-level in safe form. We were supposed to have this scholarship, this feeding grant and other thing, and the headmaster will not give it to us. Yet when it was time to register, he wanted to find a dubious way of still extorting money from us. Because of my poverty situation, I had to go and report to a district manager, the district director for education, who was not helpful. So he called the teacher to tell him that your boy has come to complain. He carried me there, and I was brought before assembly. I was determined because I didn't have the money to pay, so I went to a regional director, and the regional director stepped in and managed to salvage me, and I became enemy number one for the head teacher, the headmaster. I finished A-level. I came to university, and there was a teacher trying to sell out, handout, compulsory, and I challenged that, and the dean of students came, supported the teacher. I had to go to a vice chancellor, so by the time I completed my first degree, I couldn't even get someone from our faculty to supervise my work because I was seen as a bad boy who had gone to report a teacher at the vice chancellor level, who came to make sure that all handouts that were sold to people not against their will was refunded and the handout collected. I was seen as a bad boy and all that. I've gone through all these challenges, but believe me, the one from Minister of Youth and Sport almost got me down and staying down.
Wow.
But thank God I was able to overcome it. And today when I look back, yes, I've learned a lot. I was coming into the public sector with a private mentality. Back at the private sector, even the sweeper knows the mission and the agenda, how we want to move. Apparently in the public sector, trying to tell everybody what you really are in for was to attract trouble for yourself, because then people who were feeding on some other things now know that this is a threat to us, and I don't like looking back, but that was a major break. But believe me, my most fantastic period in all this game, believe it or not, was 2013, 2016 as majority whip. I really enjoyed doing this work. I enjoyed it for 3 basic reasons. One, it gave me tremendous amount of opportunity to learn this house and its rules, to master them. Under Leader Kumbo as a whip, it gives me ample opportunity to test my hands on things and fail and get it corrected. Barbing, same. And 2, it helped me to develop my constituency. Because on this table, everything that's supposed to come into the house, because we are in the majority, a majority whip, you are among the first to get to know. So, for example, you are taking a facility to do roads. Have those roads been identified? Oh, no, yeah, we are still thinking. So, how many kilometers is going to Asante region? Is it going to be rural or urban? Oh, this portion will go to the rural, this portion will come to the urban. So the one that is going to the urban, which other areas are you looking at? Oh, we've not really settled down. So how many kilometers can Asawase have? Then I get that. You want to do E-block? Oh, we are taking facilities to do E-block. Asawase will have one. Oh, we are doing enhanced ICT. Asawase will have to get his. Oh, we are distributing free laptops. How many can Asawase have? I really used those periods to develop my constituency, and I have no regret. Today, I want to say on record that my constituency, if not first, will be among the best that has the best street lights. Because almost every major street has street lights. 80% of the road network in my constituency is done. 100% of my constituency has water, unless you have not tapped it into your house. So that period was really about the best. And aside all that, it has made me understand the workings of Parliament. And these are things that will stay with me for the rest of my life. That the workings of Parliament, knowing this house inside out, is a great privilege for me. And so I had the really, really down at Minister of Youth and Sport in 2009, but I had the best times after that when I became majority whip between 2010 and 2016.
Let me change the conversation a little bit, but just looking at how, what Mom had to do, to create this beautiful personality today. So what would be your opinion on free education?
Believe me, I will be the last person to say free education is not a good thing that will ever happen to any person, because believe me, without scholarship, there was no way I could have finished school. But even that time, I had to pay Ms. Lono's fees. It was done in such a way that it was not all in all. Maybe they had a way of identifying the true poor and the needy. My fear with the way it is being run, I'm hoping and keep praying that they find a way of improving it. Because if it doesn't, what it's going to do is that it's going to happen to the Saito that probably you and I started and we could still read and write. That today, even the poor is struggling not to send his child there, even though everything is free. The Saito that government has put in the best of teachers. Because in my community, it's the poor who goes there. Because they know that if you go there, you finish primary 6 and you still cannot read and write. So they will not want to go there. My fear is that we can't do that to our secondary school, because currently, basic education is handed over to the private sector. Go around Accra, go around Kuma, all the big cities. It's private school everywhere, and all of us are seriously running every morning to send our children there. So the poor who can't will be having the pain my mother had to train their children to be meaningful citizens only by going to private primary schools. We cannot do same to the SSS. So if we are in for it, let's find a proper way of funding it. Because look, when we were in Tamale Secondary School, the total population of Tamale Secondary was not that time up to even 1,000. They were about 700, 900 thereabout. But we had 2 dining halls. Those of us, that time, junior school, Form 1, Form 2, and all the girls, each in one dining hall. And then Form 3 to Upper 6, each in another dining hall. Far away from each other. One in the senior school, one in the junior school. I have a child who is attending one of the popular schools in Accra. And the school is over 3,000. They have one dining hall. And they go in rows. In some schools, they go to dining hall, that one alone, in 10 rows. It takes over 3 hours for them to just feed. You go to the classroom, they are congested. You go to the dormitories, they are congested. You can't have a meaningful learning in that kind of environment. That is my worry. It is a useful thing, but my child, I, as Muntaka Mubarak, why should my child attend secondary school free? Simply because it is free for everybody. You can isolate me and let me pay. And then maybe Mr. Kojo's child who can't will be given the full scholarship so that he will be able to sit in the same classroom with my child who is full paying, but he is not paying, and have the same quality education. But if you say open the floodgate, you don't have the resources to be able to fully fund it. You'll be having the challenges that you're having. And I think that we need to open that discussion early and forget about this mentality. You see, there's something I will tell you I've learned over the period in this house. We both minority and majority we always have stereotype. When you are in the minority, you are the most intelligent. You see things, you can scrutinize things, you can do all the things, you see all the good things. When you are in the majority, your reasoning gets blurred. Both ends, it is instigated by others. I'm saying others because when you are in the majority, the government side keeps indicating, oh, you know why? If we are able to get this one through, we'll win the next election. That's why they don't want it. That's why they're opposing it. So all of you will stop reasoning, and all of you will just gang up supporting it blindly. When you are in the minority, there's that, hey, if you allow them to go through this, we must scrutinize to see whether we can find some fault with it. So when we get some fault with it, we can amplify the fault. So based on the fault, they can lose the election and then we will win the election. Until we stop this excessive partisanship. Believe me, fortunately, I've gone around the cycle. I've started in the minority, came to majority, moved back to minority. So I've gone through the cycle. I want to believe that it is not good for our country. What we all do, whether on the minority side, on the majority side, I may say, not because I'm in the minority today, what we do even in the minority, you may say, it enhances the discussion because you take your time to read line by line, trying to find a T that has not been crossed and an I that has not been dotted so that you can make issue out of it. But for those in the majority, just like when we're in the majority, I was majority whip. I hardly go to cabinet meeting. The thing will just come, hook, line, sinker. Hey, they say that this one, we need this to win the next election. You even pause yourself and ask yourself, how? Why not just look at it and analyze it based on my own independence and see, is it really objective? Is it right? And let me say, and I hope my colleague, the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, is listening and he will attest to this. There was a day we were going to do a very particular project. I don't want to mention that project. No, maybe I don't know. The trouble, what do you call it, the harbor. Then there was a tug of war in this house. Majority, 153 of us, all of us are for it. Minority, 122 of them, all of them were against it. Then he met me on the corridor. He said, Muntaka, look, me Kajo said, look, Adiwi, moment you go, you my woman, and you. I mean, besides that, look, you are my brother. This thing, let's take our time on. The things that are in it are terrible. I said, okay, tell me, what is it? Are you aware the shareholding is this way? Are you aware we are giving them for this number of years? Why is that I mentioned the things? I just held his hand. We sat somewhere. He listed the item. I have the document. I have not bothered to read it because I've been told that if we get it, we'll win the next election. So it is to win the next election. But when he mentioned them, I don't know. It started ringing on my mind. I said, no. I mean, this is reasonable questions. I was the whip. If you remember, that thing was not taking that time. I went and told the leader, no, leader, this thing, let's look at it. Are you aware there's this? Apparently the leader was not aware, even though all of us had a document. Then we sat, bound back to the executive. No. Believe me, several negotiations happened. The shareholding formula changed, the duration changed, a number of things changed, simply because we've been able to talk and looked at the document again. If we can do this in majority, and those of us in minority can talk to each other, not on the insulting level. Because sometimes what minority does is that when you see the fault, you hide it. You are waiting to go to the floor so that you use it to embarrass them. But if you see it and you have the good intent, just to get the thing corrected, like Dr. Akoto said, did with me, and managed to get a lot of things changed, I'm sure that minority can help the majority to be able to get things changed. And majority should also stop the thinking that, they are, because we've succeeded in doing that, you are either with us or against us. And you can't run a country like that. You are either with me or against me. So you won't have, with the greater respect, the president coming to talk the way. As anybody who is speaking against it is against him. Because the moment you take it that way, it becomes personal. And to be difficult for you to think through, to be able to take good suggestions. So I think that going forward, the free SHS need to be properly looked at. It's a good thing that can help the poor, that can cut poverty cycles, that can bring people out of poverty. If it's not properly done, it will rather deepen the poverty of some people.
Wow. let's let's take it a bit light. It's been heavy. If I were to come in your music cabinet and I have to save 3 CDs, which one would I have to save? I'm going to ban all your music, but I have to save 3. Which one would I have to save?
Unfortunately, I don't know, because of the upbringing or what. I'm not an entertainment person. Sometimes I get bored myself.
I see.
Because when I don't get to get the busy running weekend and I'm staying home alone, and I stay Friday evening, wake up Saturday, the whole day, I've not gone anywhere. Sunday, I've not gone anywhere. And I begin to get bored. And I ask myself, hey, what kind of life am I leading? I don't have any entertainment part of me. Please, truly, this musical, this thing that is in there. I can't remember the last time I put it on.
I see.
I hadn't listened to music. Always busy working things.
But do you catch up with news? You follow up the news?
Yeah, I do. Because news is what keeps us as politicians. So the moment I wake up every morning, I have to quickly go on my Joy online to see what are in here. Jump to city like Ghana where maybe X, Y, Z to see what are the news. I mean, news headlines, look at what is there. Is there anything interesting that I need to follow up? Those I do. News, I try to listen. But when I'm sitting in the car and driving home or coming to work, there I listen to music.
Okay.
And believe me, I like this guy. This Tema guy. Oh, how have I forgot his name? Sarkodie.
Okay.
I like, and one of the some of the lyrics are very interesting to listen about. I mean, the kind of background that I had, moving from, and there's this song he did with the one who died. What was his name? Castro, The one he did with Castro, and I really like it.
No, I see,
Yeah.
I see. But football, clearly, I'm sure you're a football man.
When you had to help your mother to sell cocoa, and every evening you come from school, you have to go and mill the millet. What time will you go and play football? So it's sad though. Sometimes when my children, I mean, I don't know how to swim. And when we came to Accra, I kept saying that, hey, these children, what if they try to swim? So I said, hey, what I'll do is I'll teach all my children. So all my children, I've taken them to swimming lessons. They know how to swim. Then I'll ask you, which game do you want to play? Some say, oh, I want to play football. I'll get your coach. My first was playing for even his school.
Okay.
So I keep telling them that, oh, after football, one injury and you are out. So make sure that your education is cured. Then you can do that second. Even at the university, he still plays. The second one plays that. The third one, he plays basket, and I will get a coach for you, and there's taekwondo. I'll get a coach for you, and I'll pay for you to do, because I didn't have those privilege of going to run around or chase football. So unfortunately, I don't know how to play football. It was when I was in the school, because of my height, they encouraged me to do running. So I was a sprinter for the school. At the university, I tried playing hockey, but all that I learned at secondary school. So after school, it's difficult to get a place to play. But I used to play tennis too. But what I don't joke with is my health. So I jog at least worst scenario 3 times a week.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that I don't joke with. I check what I eat too.
When it's all said and done with politics and you're sitting in your garden just reflecting, what would you want to be remembered for?
Everywhere I've gone, like I told you, I'm not an excellent person. I've never tried to be one. All I want, wherever I stay, when I live there, I should make it better than I came to meet it. That has been my hallmark. I mean, I have a farm, Berkesi. Weekends when I'm in Kumasi, I go to the farm. We have these little businesses that are still around. My wife, my first wife is managing. The second wife, she's a midwife by training. So, which we do. I look at the businesses, the investments and other things, and watch how they go and other things. That time when Unibank was going down, it was like, hey, because we have a lot of our investment there and other things. So I keep watching our investment and doing those things on my private time. But one thing that I'll ever want to be remembered for is that wherever I served, I left it better than I met it.
Well, all too soon, that's what time will allow us. But these are some of the stories that we don't get to hear, because we just see them all in the limelight, in the news and the headlines. But how it is they got there is fascinating. And I hope you picked a thing or two from it. I always give you the number before I leave, 024 366 2001. 024 366 2001 is Dante's Fashions Day. Give me the shirts for the show, and this has been a heart-warming conversation. Alaji, thank you so much.
Most welcome, Nana. I'm happy to have you in my office.
I'm glad to.